Hi, my name is Andrew Zebron III, and I'm here with Alex and Aleksandra of Venice Inventors, and we're going to see what they're up to today. How you guys doing today?
Hi, very good.
Hello, very well, thank
And
you.
you?
So how's it going with your work out there? What kind of things do you guys do at Venice Inventors?
Basically, currently just building little devices. I'm working on a communication device and a password device, but I also like write a lot of software and work on future projects when I have some time left.
Well, that sounds really interesting. So the future looks bright, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're really focused on opening a new lab because we lost the last lab during COVID. They closed the building and everybody had to leave, so we had to close the lab. But we're trying to start a fundraiser to basically open a new lab, a better lab, and so that we can be even more efficient because I'm working from home right now. It's such a tiny space. It's very difficult to get things done. I have to put everything in the closet, pull something out, work on it, put everything away, grab something else. I can't have my like all my tools out. Half of it is in storage. It's pretty difficult that way, but I can't stop, so I just keep doing everything I can with the constraints I have now.
Yes, we continue, and my job or what I do is a lot of the research, and we try to see what is out there that it needs to be bring about. What is missing? What is the part that we don't have as a community? We, for example, need free energy, and we need better transportation or better transportation devices, because what we both see that there is outside there in the environment, it doesn't I don't want to say it is it doesn't work. I would like to say that it does not resonate with what we think it should be, and it could be something more useful and less harmful for the environment. And we seriously we do it every single day, and that's we dedicate every single waking hour to this to this idea, to this goal, to at least for me is to leave a legacy, because I don't know, I may die in 5 years or 10 years or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to leave a legacy. I'm not taking anything with me. I just want to leave a legacy so somebody can pick on that and continue, because I think we need more people that are more proactive, not just sitting and wait. Oh, I hope somebody does this, or I hope somebody does that. No, just you can put your hands in action and get more involved. And electricity and engineering is not difficult. We all can do it. We can do our own engineers, even with small tools at home. It starts with the oneself,
Yep.
and you expand to the community.
Yep. You know, that's a big message going around these days that everybody needs to get involved. That's why I'm doing podcasting now.
Yeah, it's so much easier now with the internet. We can really reach the whole world if people are willing to come and listen. Um, I think that that's one thing that's really amazing. We're all connected in a physical, well, electronic way, but more so than before, I think.
Definitely. Definitely. And Tesla is like one of my favorite subjects. Did you know he was driving a free energy car around Buffalo in 1930s?
Actually, I read that from your messages. Yes.
I didn't know.
Yeah, surprise. They
Uh,
won't tell anybody though. And I know the guy that runs the Pierce Arrow Museum. It was a Pierce Arrow that he converted to free energy. Somehow he was transmitting the energy from Niagara Falls to and he got it in his Pierce Arrow. Somehow he had an antenna in the car, uh, I guess you'd have to read the article. I can put it in the show notes for people if they're interested. I think that's a wonderful story, though. And I wrote to Jim Sandoro, the owner of the Pure Sarah Museum, and he said, "Oh no, no, that's a myth." So I know it's true.
So,
Why
so it
don't you
was,
tell him your idea, our idea about electricity and what really is?
um, well, that would be jumping too quickly, but
Okay.
let's see. So I'm guessing it was using like an antenna and just receiving a broadcast. Should I just tell them to stop?
Mm.
Just a second.
Okay.
We're in a Zoom call, sorry. It's live. Okay. Sorry, we got our apple juice supply delivered.
Great.
Um, okay, so I'm guessing he was using the Tesla tower and basically broadcasting electrical field to power the car to demonstrate that you could transmit the energy wirelessly. I've noticed that these days we have these wireless chargers. They don't give credit to Tesla, but it's pretty much the same technology. Um, so I'm assuming the car used something like that, but actually better, even though it was 100 years ago.
Well, I wish I knew how he did it. I could help everybody else do it too.
Maybe you
Yeah.
have an idea?
Yeah, I mean, I think he left enough clues behind to be able to recreate everything and then improve on it. Plus, I know a lot of people have spent a lot of time researching his work, his patents, and I know there's a model, a full-scale model of one of his towers. I guess that's the one that's in Texas.
Yep. I
So
drove by it twice.
yeah, so that's there's still like, I mean, the knowledge is out there.
It's not right like out there. I wish they mention him at the schools, for example. When you go through your engineer major or physics major, there is no mention of him, and that's very frustrating. In Serbia, back home, the whole national airport has his name. So it's really a presence there, for example. And we always remember and honor what he did for the whole humanity because he was such a selfless person. And his understanding of electricity, he was obsessed with electricity. I'm obsessed with electricity too. He will download, you know? He was so in touch with the ether that it was very easy for him just to bring about all these things because he was in direct contact with them, with the ether, with this, with the source energy, and it's so sad that it came from such a beautiful place, the direct from source energy to us, and that here the powers being just try to bury the whole thing.
Yeah, I think it's the old issue of people wanting to control the supply of whatever it is, in this case, energy. If they can't sell the wood or the coal or the gas to you, then they don't want you to have it. And but we're surrounded by energy, so it's not really something that can be prevented. I mean, we can use wind power, solar power, geothermal. There's all these ways to produce electricity without any central like source of fuel, let's say.
I think that it needs to be a shift, a change of mentality, you know? The whole mindset has to change, especially when it comes to the natural worlds around us, because the natural worlds around us is very magic. I find it as magic. Whenever a plant gives a source, or the essential oils of a plant, for example, or the electricity itself, that comes from the actual fabric of what we are, because we all share the same fabric. You know, the end, what the unit is called the atom, right? However representation you want to put it, if you want to make it in little pictures, you want to think of a field. That's the fabric, and that its energy itself. So if you start looking at everything around you as such, you will have a different response to your environment, to people, to everything, and a different connection to what is around you. And you will start actually trying to harness that energy in the proper way, in more natural way or gentle way than using like Alex's brute force.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what you think about electricity.
Um, well, it's too early for me to really like go into very specific explanations, but I see electricity as a magnetic field that is being compressed in the wire. So it's like a high density magnetic field, and and then of course when it has to make any kind of turn, it leaks out, which is why we have a magnetic field coming out of a coil, for example. Or that's why when we pass a magnet by a wire, it produces electricity, because it's really just the magnetic field being like forced into the wire. And but in kind of a compressed way. I think that's really uh, like the essence of it. It's that when we see it as electricity, it's just in a different shape. It's still the same. Uh, it's not a different form. It's just a different shape. It's being squeezed really hard, but it still is a magnetic field. At least that's my hunch. I'd have to like think about it more.
Well, a lot of people say we're in an electric universe now.
Mhm.
Well, that makes sense since the fabric of the universe is the one same thing, and that produces it's a magnetic field by nature, and we get the electricity from that magnetic field. So it's like the what we call electricity. It will be the product of that magnetic field taking different shape.
I think it can pretty much be boiled down to frequencies, vibrations, and different frequencies manifest themselves differently, but they're all the same energy. They're all in that same soup of like wherever we are, that universe. But if you change the frequency of the vibration, it changes its uh, appearance, its behavior, much like infrared light behaves in a certain way. Um, but if you go a little bit lower in the spectrum, the electromagnetic energy can now start going through materials. If you go lower, it starts bouncing off materials. So it's pretty much always the same base energy, but just changing the frequency completely changes the way it interacts with at least atoms. And I would say that even atoms are nothing more than a frequency, but a really high frequency. So it has like the ability to basically repel things with a strength that's like phenomenal. So that's why we perceive atoms as like something maybe solid. But it all has to do with the energy levels and like literally the frequency. Like maybe electricity and magnetic fields are like a lower frequency, and then like neutrons are a higher frequency and protons are a yet higher frequency, but we just think of them as particles when in fact it's just a field that's vibrating. And I would think the whole universe is vibrating in the same way, not just what we can see as defined stars or planets, but the actual entire volume that we think of it as a void. Like it's probably not empty at all. It's probably filled with energy.
Yeah, it probably is. The universe is definitely a giant mystery, but we're
Mm.
starting to figure it out, aren't we, you guys?
Slowly, yeah. I think as humans we have a limitation because we tend to try to apply our five senses on everything we understand. It has to make sense from our um, like sense-based approach at looking at reality. So we need things to be tangible, to have limits, to have like a finite definition, and I think that might prevent us a little bit from truly perceiving the full extent of what the universe really is. Of course, there's like a spiritual way to look at it, but even at least in some religions, there's still that notion that things were created as single entities like the earth, um, and I think it's far more. There's a lot more to it than just what we can perceive with our senses. So we're kind of limited in our ability to fully understand until maybe we kind of get rid of those constraints and embrace like maybe crazier ideas, but just to see if it would make sense.
And
Yeah.
that intensifies the notion of separation, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here, the other planet is here, the star is there, you are there, I'm here. The tree is there, the lions should be on the other side of the fence. When if you see all of us as one, made of one frequency, just of one type of energy, just vibrating at a different frequency, you will understand that we're all pretty much the same. We just manifest in different ways for our eyes to see, but that's not what we really are. And we should be fully aware that our perceptions, our senses are absolutely limiting, very, very, very limiting. Is we cannot base our beliefs or our science only on our senses or our mathematical abilities, because that also could be a limitation, because you can go on a question forever, never finish it, and then you have a crazy number or a crazy notion of something it doesn't really is, and it could be much simpler.
Well, I like this one channel I follow is called White House UFO. Have you guys ever heard of that one? With Grant Cameron? And he says that consciousness is pretty much everything. And I think he's really onto something there. Consciousness is involved in science heavily, don't you think?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. We are consciousness, and what we see is just our how you say our body, or what we see here is the shell for us to move through here, but we are a big, beautiful, giant collective consciousness, and that's why if we practice like a muscle, we can have the ability to tap into all the consciousness of all the beings that have ever been and bring about that knowledge. And it's not magic, it's not a funny way of looking at things. I think that's what it is. That's why, that's the only way that it could happen. If, for example, let's talk about the law of attraction, quantum physics. I think for the law of attraction and quantum physics to be able to exist and to work is if this world is based on, is a world where consciousness, it's the main force, the driving force. Otherwise it wouldn't be able to happen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. People just aren't thinking about consciousness, and it's everything.
What do you think?
What do you think, Alex?
Well, I was thinking about these experiments they make where I guess it's mostly in the study of quantum physics, but they say that the observer affects the observation.
Oh yes.
I think it's because we're only perceiving a very small portion of the reality. So we that observation is really just we're getting like an echo of the real full extent of what's going on, and that's why we can actually affect the observation. I I think we really, I saw once on YouTube a video that really illustrates how limited we are. Is they gave the example of if you have a sphere going through a plane, but you can only see in 2D, all you see is like a circle that gets bigger and then it gets smaller and it disappears and it's gone. But the sphere never disappeared, it just passed through that plane. So for a 2D observer, it would look like a disk, but the reality is it's a sphere. And I think our understanding of our universe is kind of the same way. We're not truly seeing the whole picture, we're just seeing a little slice of it, and we think that's all there is to it, but there's so much more.
Yeah, that's exactly the experiment I was thinking of when I brought that up. Thank you for mentioning it.
Actually, we watched a little video where I don't remember the name of an author, but I will send you the name when I rewatch the video again. He wrote in the book that he went to uh, this friend's party, and in the party they had a hypnotist. So he hypnotized the host of the party and told the host, "You are not going to see your daughter." Okay, so he made the process of hypnosis. He told the command to the person, and then brought the daughter, put the daughter in front of him, of the host, and he placed himself behind the daughter. So when he called him to see, where can you see your daughter, the man said no. And then he held a watch on his hand. And he said, "What do I have in my hand?" And the host was very surprised. "Of course, a watch. Why you even ask?" Right? Now, the point is that the daughter was in between them. I found that fascinating. I think that's a big proof, not only that we're so limited by our mind, our beliefs limit the behavior of our senses, because if I see something in front, I believe I will not be able to see what's behind, and that belief is going to make my sense not to be able to see what's behind. At that moment, he was completely convinced nothing was in between, so he could see through. Which also tells me that this is almost like a holographic situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen UFOs, so I believe in high technologies. You know what I mean?
I've seen UFOs twice. I grew up in Serbia and in Peru, and back home in Peru, in South America, the idea of UFOs and aliens and other beings is part of our culture. Is embedded on our tales, on our of the history. Is embedded in the history that is told orally, not in the written history. So at night, when you meet with your family, your grandparents, your parents, your friends, they start telling us the tales of the indigenous, and that's part of our culture. We believe if you go back to, especially in the North Peru, and you ask somebody, "Where are the UFOs?" They're going to tell you, "Oh, they park right behind that mountain." They don't get, "Oh, what do you mean?" No, that's where they are. And no, and the funny part is, I was telling Alex, nobody will dare to put signs that says $10 and you take picture of the site like they will do here, right?
Yeah.
No, they leave them alone. That's their space. You don't mess with their space. You don't go there. You don't go close there. You just leave them there. So it is back in Peru that I saw twice UFOs. It was really clear.
Have you ever seen any, Alex?
No, I kind of have that stance that it's not physically impossible, but because I've never seen any, I'm still kind of waiting for maybe one day seeing like something that can prove me wrong. Because the way I see it is, if I were an alien, I would not come back to this planet. I would be like, these people are crazy. I'm out of here. So I don't know. But I wouldn't mind seeing actual like UFOs or evidence of any kind of alien presence on Earth. I just haven't, so I'm like, I kind of wish I would.
I
Well,
feel myself as no belonging to this race. I look like you guys, but I deep in, not even too deep. Like I always said, you drop me on the ground, but you know, you what pick me up. And I haven't seen that since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like pick me up already. Seriously.
I think we all feel like this just because the world is wrong. It's not the way it's supposed to be. It's been manipulated
Hijack.
by people with bad intentions. So, of course, it doesn't feel right, and we feel like we don't belong here.
It's being hijacked by the crazy people and their crazy friends from different dimensions. That's what
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
I think so too. I think they're being deleted though, but so we don't need them anymore, right?
Mm.
No, every night I send them love. I think we should all send them love because it's a good practice for yourself to fill yourself with love. And also, since they are such a low vibration and love is very high, that will disintegrate them.
I agree. I stay in the love vibration myself. That's very good advice, Aleksandra.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I also have Bigfoot and fairy sightings around here. You guys have anything out like that out west or anywhere you've been?
No,
Exciting.
Bigfoot.
Oh, no, no, no. Here is especially Venice. Venice is a very interesting place. Venice is in a bubble.
Hmm. Well, I
One,
didn't get. I got pictures of their footprints, not the actual animal.
Mhm.
You know, they're interdimensional. They could be next to you and you wouldn't know it.
that's true. There is a name for them. The Ashwan,
Sasquatch.
Sasquatch.
Yep, Sasquatch.
The Sasquatch, yes. You remember?
Yeah.
How nice. Thank you, because I
Mhm.
forgot.
Yeah.
Yes, the Sasquatch. I I think we also should call into them for help because I think we need all the help that we can have right now. And I am completely sure, like I always tell Alex and I press into this. We need new technology. Our way to come across from this and to go into the new 5D Earth is with a new technology based on the understanding of vibration, based on the understanding of frequency, based on the understanding of energy. And rather than having uh, a 5G phone, for example, right?
Yeah.
You can have a different methodology of communication and even on transportation. For example, the transportation from the Atlantic to the Pacific.
You mean like a dirigible?
Yes, for example.
Okay.
Why don't you tell me?
Sure. Okay, so one of my biggest dream is to one day um, provide like viable dirigibles, like a blimp, but at a much larger scale and a completely different design to basically get rid of cargo ships and airplanes because I think using nothing more than the wind and the sun, we can provide enough like forward motion to basically go from one point to another with a very heavy load without spending any energy. So I think the real future of transportation is to actually go back to the dirigibles, just because at least with the airplanes and the boats, there's two big energetic problems. One is we're on the boats we're facing the water resistance, so we're wasting energy just displacing that water. And on the in the air with airplanes, we're using a lot of energy to create lift. So
That's the pollution.
well, that's one of the consequences that energy is from fossil fuels. So we're basically polluting the environment to just keep the plane airborne. And with dirigibles, you don't have any energy consumption just from getting it airborne. It just floats naturally because of the gas weight. Um, so I think it's the way to go for the future is to just use airships to move people, move goods, and maybe we won't be going like 700 miles an hour, but even if we go 400, that would still be I think pretty fast. Um, but it just would not waste energy trying to keep something up or moving. So that's like my big dream. I hope I can accomplish that one before I'm too old to work, and just make it happen and somehow make it the new way of going about transportation.
For example, from the Atlantic to the Pacific, there is a current that goes crosses the Andes and crosses the Amazon, and they call it a river. It's not a river; it's just a very thick clouds, and they just go, and you can totally utilize that current that is constantly moving from the Atlantic to the Pacific, going from the east to the west, to move a dirigible. And it's just so beautiful. I watched a documentary on that. It was just so amazing and so flowing, not too slow, actually quite fast. And it's just so natural there. We have already a moving river up there that you can utilize.
Yeah, we definitely need new technologies for the future because what we got ain't cutting it.
No, and yeah, it's like the currents around the Earth are pretty much eastward near the poles and westward near the equator. So depending which way you want to go, you can just move like north or south, and at least more or less pick a direction that already uses the existing currents. So that alone is like a good way to basically get free motion without spending any energy.
And I think the most important thing to understand is that we should harness our own technology, which is yourself, your consciousness, your brain. You are at the most amazing technological, most advanced uh, being. Because if you practice, you can have a telepathic conversation. You can look to something that is at a very long distance. You can do distant healing. You can travel, but your body didn't move. You are the most technological. I think that that will be the thing that should be harnessed as well, and it should be practiced.
You're right. Did you know that there are kids that they take sleep masks like this one? They'll put a sleep mask on where you can't see nothing and they can drive a car.
Yes,
They're using their minds to see where they're going. Did you know about that?
yes, they can read. They do that. They do remote viewing, and actually, I'm practicing that every night. I try to harness that because I think that if I have such a tendency to be so obsessed with all this technology and electricity that I came already wired with that, I and I feel it that I have it in me, but they, because of the system, they just try to not to develop it for you not to develop. So I decided that I will develop myself. It's like, well, I do it. I can do it. So I'm doing it.
That's great. You want to tell people about your lab fundraiser? We got it up on the screen now.
Sure. Okay, so my goal is to create like a big lab that's both doing research, development, and ultimately also education, helping people get together and work together. So um, at first, I mostly want to do like development because I already have so many inventions that just need to be finalized, ready to be either mass produced or just given away, depending what it is. And then if I can get that working, then I will move on to like more development. But ultimately, I'm trying to like kind of create a think tank where people can just be part of the whole process, learn how to make things, or just ask somebody else to help them make things. Because I think like there's a lot of people that have amazing potential, but they don't have the tools. And so these people could really use help, just a bit of guidance and maybe access to the tools now and then kind of like the makers labs. They have some here and there where you can go and rent the space and have access to all these expensive tools. So I want to do some of that too, but not like a business open 24 hours for people to come and 3D print stuff. But I do want to make the tools accessible to people who need them. And I also want to do like commercial like products because it costs money to run a lab and to do research and everything. So it has to be a balance between spending money doing research and making money to fund the lab. So right now my initial plan is to basically get donations, sponsorship, contributions from people to help get a building for the lab and all the equipment, and then the people that are needed to make like to make things happen the right way. Like for example, I can't do marketing, I can't do legal stuff. I can't even do video editing. I'm really bad at it. But there's other people that are really good at all these things, and they'll be happy to help if they can get paid a reasonable amount. So I basically want to make sure everybody's happy, everybody's doing what they do best, and so I can do what I do best too, and not try to deal with these things. Because I've tried to do everything by myself for years, and it never works. It's like I'm not going to do a good job if I try to wear too many hats. So this time I realized that the right way to do it is to have the infrastructure to do what I do best, what she does best, what other people do best, and let people who are good with like advertising, social media, marketing do their part, have the lawyers file the patents, make sure that we don't get shut down by some big corporation, and just do things really big because we're kind of running out of time. We really
Yes,
have to.
we're running out of. That's what I feel. It's like we need to do it now. Now we need to provide for the freedom fighters, for the spiritual fighters. Because we took too long, too many things, and I also think that there is a giant need of a community that is based on doing things together. You have bars, you have clubs, you have restaurants, you have coffee shops, but because that's what they put there, to distract you, to not to make you think. We need a place where people come and now you come here to think.
Mhm.
I love it. Make it like a pyramid shaped building and be perfect, right?
Yes.
Um, yeah, so at least initially, I'm hoping I can get people who really believe in the same values, the same goals, to help us make it happen. And I'm not doing this for the money for myself. I don't care. I don't need money. It's like you can't eat money. So, but I do need the tools. I need ways to create more. And
Yes.
and so from that perspective, I'm kind of trying to draw people who are driven by progress, by like helping other people and making good things happen, while still doing it in a realistic way because we live in a world that requires money for everything. So
For now,
you still
it
have
will change. It will. I want to make sure that this change, and for that we need technology.
I'm with you, Alexandra. I think it's going to change too.
It
Whether
will
we do it or it happens on itself, it's going to change, right?
yeah.
it will totally definitely change. That's why I'm part of the barter trade and exchange, where I exchange my essential oils with other people's products, because I want to create that. So I'm doing that. I You do this and I give you whatever I do, and we do an exchange, because I think ultimately that's what I want to go towards. I want to live in a society that is based on exchange. You do what you love it. I love what you do. Can I have that, please? And I want to give you something that I love doing. Not only am I going to utilize my skills, but I'm going to give it to you with all the love that I put on my little thing that I made for you. And I
Hmm.
think that we should all start thinking that now. This whole system, I don't know why people is sick and tired. Let me tell you, I never work. I'm blessed. I don't have to work. I never had to work. Okay, I'm completely and totally blessed, and I don't even understand why others will put themselves through that. It's like, are you crazy? You should complain. You should not do that. You should seek a change. I'm tired of seeing that. Aren't you tired of doing it or going through that process? It just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, really, let's change things dramatically. I'm tired of seeing the same brand or people talking about their iPhones or Apples or whatever is, or being one operating system that is for the whole 8 billion. It's like, really? Are you kidding me? You're telling me there is, in the bunch of 8 billion, nobody came with a different operating system? I'm really sick and tired of that. It's like,
Yeah.
people, get over yourself, start yourself, your brains, do stuff and stop getting so stuck on this system. Just say no, period.
I'm with you. Have you ever seen Dr. Strangelove?
No.
Oh my God, that's such a good movie. He went to Tibet and he developed all of his skills and he could go anywhere he wanted to and do anything he wanted to. And that's how humans used to be. I think we're going back there, don't you?
I'm I'm hoping so because to me it looks
I'm
like
going.
the
I'm
last
sorry if you guys go. I'm going. It's like, with you or without you. I already say I'm going. So
the, to me the last 300 years we've been really devolving. Like,
the music.
well, everything. It's like there was a real effort to make things better. And I'd say up to the Renaissance, things got really better. The quality of arts, crafts, music, art in general, it, it was just people were trying their best. They were giving their best. And I'm sure not everything was perfect. There were probably farmers suffering, and like part of society were not perfect. But the at least the mind was trying to reach another level. And then abruptly, we just started to go down to a more primitive, more brutal, more ignorant way of going about things. And what we have now is everybody has access to stuff, whether it's cars or computers,
At a
but
price.
it's all junk. It's all made to last a few years and disposable. And it, so it's not really a better quality of life if everything just falls apart and works against you or uses you.
No, it is, they give you a tool so you can work better for them.
Yeah.
It's like you become a better slave. And I was just put in the middle of that, and I look around, I said, I'm sorry, I'm not for this. No, I think of myself as different, and I want to have different lifestyle, and I said no to everything. And I think, I wish people one day, all of us, the 8 billion, wake up one day and say, you know what? That was enough of a nonsense.
But I think the big change is that back then people really did things because they loved what they were doing. And since the Industrial Revolution, people have been doing things because they have to. It's like you want to eat, you're going to go work in that factory, you're going to do what you're told, what we've programmed you since school. So people are not happy. So why would they do their best? They don't see the incentive. And I think that's a good part of why things don't work so well
And
anymore.
also the TV.
Yeah.
TV, we don't have TV. I don't have TV at my place. He doesn't have TV. And TV is, it really puts you, the frequency, the hertz of the TV here is lower than the ones in South America and in Europe. So here you really feel it. Your brain really goes into this alpha state and you are completely and totally hypnotized. And why here is lower? There must be a reason that, because they do it everything with a purpose. So you're in this alpha way, your brain is there, they know how the subconscious work,
Hmm.
and then they get you there with all their commercials, and that's it. You
Well,
believe everything they watch on TV.
I heard they were using the electric grid to mind control us before TV.
That would be possible. I mean, you can use it as a giant antenna. You can literally broadcast anything you want through the electric grid.
Yep. And I guess 60 cycles is probably not the best one, huh, Alex?
I I don't know for sure. I've never researched the like the effect of various frequencies in the power, so I wouldn't know. But all I know is 60 gigahertz is really bad. Um, like that one is a dangerous frequency to play with, just because biologically it affects oxygen. But as far as the lower electricity, I have a simple way to look at things when I don't know. So at least I kind of go in the right direction is, does this happen in nature or not? Do we have electricity with, whether it's 50 hertz like Europe or 60, do we have electricity in nature that's flowing through wires? No. So we probably shouldn't be doing it. If we really want to look at, the right way to go about things. So
Yeah, I think you're probably right, but we're definitely gonna have to have new ways of doing things before we can replace what we got.
yeah, that's the thing is we have to make a transition. We can't hope to just switch. It has to be gradual. We have to introduce better ways until people are like, hey, this works better. Why do we just keep doing this instead of just using what's better? Um, like, I think by setting an example, that's probably the best way to bring change rather than fighting the old ways or pushing the new ways. It's just show that the new ways work better and we're happy with it. If you want it, you're welcome. If you don't want it, that's your choice. I think it's a more healthy way to bring change.
And we all have to do it together. We need to stop this separateness. That you are there, I'm here, and you are uh, an unidentified object. We have to do different now. So work together is different. So we need to work together.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm doing this, to help change consciousness and get people to think, because that's the only thing that's going to get us out of this, when people think, right?
Yes.
Yes. We
Yeah.
need to start thinking.
Also, I think a lot of people think they're alone in the way they think. They think nobody else would understand them. That's because there's not enough communication. Most people actually want the same thing. Everybody wants to be happy, to be fed, to be safe. These are all the basic desire of most people, and they don't really care about like what car they drive or what brand they wear. It all boils down to just being happy, being safe, being healthy. So I think that the more people get to hear other people's ideas, the more they might realize that um, we really all want the same thing. So we should just work together to make those things happen. Um,
And I really appreciate what you do, because you give us the chance to talk, for example. And I watched the interview that you did with this the person from the Smithsonian.
Oh yeah, Alexei.
Yes, that Alex, that's the same. All Alex is here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That was very interesting. And if you wouldn't have done that, we wouldn't have been able to watch that. And you give people like us a chance to speak, and maybe somebody gets inspired, or somebody says, I wanna do the same. I have even better ideas.
Well, you guys could do what I'm doing, you
mhm.
know, and bring your message yourself, if that's what you feel like you want to do. I tell people anybody could do what I do, and a few people are going to do it, you know. So if you want to do it, it's not that hard. I
Yeah.
spent $200 on a laptop because my old one was too slow.
Well, we've always been very camera shy.
Yes.
So even like we always want to put more videos on YouTube talking about electronics or inventions, but to just be in front of the camera, it's kind of intimidating. It's a little bit difficult for us. So we're still practicing.
For me, it was I never wanted to put my face anywhere. I never really wanted to talk. I was always on my chair, because I felt more comfortable doing my research, my thinking, math, physics, and engineer there. But since things are getting so crazy out of control, I decided, okay, you really need to get out of your comfort zone and just speak out and yell and scream if possible.
Yeah, it's not easy.
No, and
No.
also we live in a kind of a difficult climate where you have to watch what you're saying, otherwise you have to worry about the consequences.
Oh, I don't watch what I said. I'm very upset of what is going on. I'm kind of annoyed by people's response. So when I go, for example, to the places where I should go to buy stuff, I just wear the whatever and quisieran. When they tell me something, I just seriously argue with them until my Slavic, angry Serbian part of me comes out and is really bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't want
I
to
don't
get in the
want
way
to
of that.
mess with that part of me.
No,
Seriously.
not me. I wouldn't want to get in the way of that. I think these things are going to go away. All these mass, whatever. I think they're going to go away. Don't you?
I hope so. I mean, people have got to get tired of it and be like, they'll probably just find another thing to dangle in front of their consciousness. It's like, oh, look, the new threat, now it's aliens or whatever. But I think the virus is really the perfect threat because we can't see it, so you can't say it's not there. And people are so fearful that it's a very effective um, tool, much like terrorism. It's like, oh, the terrorists. We don't know where they are, where they're gonna strike. It's like seriously, I, I don't know. It's like before I was the war on drugs. It's like, oh, the drugs, the drugs. It's them, not you. You're taking all these pills, but it's not you. It's them. All these drug lords. And sure, there's real problems. There's real terrorists. There's real drugs, and there's real viruses. But when it starts to become the main focus of the media, they're just playing people and they buy into it. So I think this will wear out just like everything else, and they're going to come up with something else.
For me, this has been actually a very interesting process since the December 2019, because I shift very quick from a type of behavior and personality, and I evolve very fast, very fast, very fast into something else. So at the end, all I have to say to these psychopaths, forces, dark beings, whatever, I thank you, because you made me become so strong, so fearless, so powerful, so focused, so insisting, outspoken, in your face, that I wasn't like this. And I'm so more committed to my spirituality, talking to God every day, afternoon, night, midnight, doing endless meditation, sending love. It's like, thank you, you did me a favor. I was probably half empty before, but because of your evilness, I became so amazing. I even developed the essential oils wellness line, and I'm healing people and giving it for free. People with pain, with arthritis, with Parkinson's, they tell me, oh my God, they call me doctor and shaman around here.
That's awesome.
So all I have to say is like, no, you couldn't with me. You make me better, like seriously much better.
Yeah, well, I have a theory that the universe runs like a battery. It's positive and negative, and you got the light forces and the dark forces, and they work together to raise consciousness. That's how things work.
Well, before this nonsense, before the evilness, I was never called a doctor, and now I'm a doctor. So thank you, evil forces. You make me a doctor.
That's great. Because I'm all about helping people. That's all I'm doing. Nobody's paying me. I'm just doing this to help humanity.
Same with us. No, I'm lucky. My family provides, and he does his own thing. He provides for himself, and we're just doing it because it's our mission. I think we came here to this time, space, reality to do this, and that's probably why we're doing it no matter what, regardless anything. It's like the sky can literally fall down in pieces. I probably will cry and be annoying for a while, but I will continue. I will cry and continue soldering, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. How about you, Alex?
Well, yeah, for me, it's, I don't know, it's kind of a built-in thing. I have to create stuff, I have to solve problems. Whenever I see something that could be done better, I just have to try. And like right now, I'm mostly focused on electronics and technologies I can handle here in my little studio because it's easier. I basically I can still work with like half a table, but um, but generally, no matter what happens, I keep doing it. Even if I get sometimes like doing the curfews and all the problems, it's like my way of escaping reality is to get back to my prototypes and make new prototypes. And then I have bills to pay. There's no money coming, and I just make a new prototype, and I feel better. And um, you know,
Alex is the reincarnation of Leonardo da Vinci.
Wow.
I,
He's seriously, he's a genius. His IQ is over 200. And I'm so glad and blessed that he's my guide on my scientific journey and development that I couldn't ask for anybody ever. I mean, the next person will be Nicola himself, but since he's not here, Alex is just the next best person for me at least.
I wouldn't say I'm his reincarnation, but I do have a similar way of looking at things and thinking, I think, because when I found out about him, they were like, we had a lot in common. I think it's just the ability to observe and like draw conclusions from observation. Um, because ultimately nothing is really new. We just take existing things and make something new with them. So that's why we always observe nature, and then from nature we can come up with a better way of whether it's like flying or just lifting heavy objects, like whatever it is. There usually is always a precedent in nature that
Yeah.
inspires us. But I do really like Da Vinci. For me, is like my best example of an inventor that doesn't stop at it's impossible. If somebody says it's impossible, me, I'm like, oh, really? Let me show you.
And he does it. It's just unbelievable. Maybe later on I will tell you more about, more personal stories about what he does. It's just amazing. Yes.
That is amazing. So you got anything else you want to share with the guests before we call it a day?
Let's see. I don't. I'm working on a Kickstarter, but I'm not ready yet. So I'm building a couple of devices. But let's see. Yeah, this is my like some of the stuff I've done before, and some of the stuff I'm still working on. Uh, I've done a lot because I've been at it for like decades. But um, basically, the like my current projects are I'm making a little password storage device that lets you uh, input your password into your computer or your phone. I can show that to you. It's not.
And the communication device.
This is not. It's still a prototype shape. I have to make a case for it and solder everything together, but um, it, it's probably not useful for everybody. But it's basically, I should turn it on. I don't know if you can see very well. So basically, there's a little fingerprint scanner
Oh,
and a touch screen where the keyboard can be displayed so you can input your accounts, your passwords. And then the little chip that controls everything has no wireless connectivity whatsoever, so you cannot hack it. The only way it can take an input is from you typing on the screen. And then from the screen through the USB, you can send your login password, but you can't really like give any command through the USB. It's only a one-way out. So it's really secure. And the idea was for people who have too many passwords, like IT people or um, people like me who have 100 different accounts on 100 different websites. this gives a way to basically have both a copy of all the password in a safe place and easily enter them in the on those websites or servers.
And the
Um,
communication.
and
I want one.
yeah, it'll be probably ready. I'm hoping before Christmas, uh,
Wow.
and we'll let you know.
And he's been working in this amazing communication device because you know it's not safe. They listen to you everywhere, all the time. So we were sick and tired of that. We said, you know what? Let's make our own stuff. So he
Yeah,
made our own stuff.
that's not really the motivation. Let me speak down. The motivation was actually to have a way of communicating in case there's a general like shutdown of electricity, cell towers, internet, satellites, everything. Let's
Well,
say,
that would be the worst case scenario,
let's say
which would be very good actually.
the best way to really keep people in the dark is to turn off all the communication systems. So I I worked with a technology called LoRa, which stands for long range. So I have a little device that has a built-in radio transmitter, and then I found a keyboard that's fairly small, so it can be, it will still fit in your pocket. And and so right now I'm working on the software. I get it, but it'll basically, I don't know which way. Yeah. So this device will let you send text messages to other people who have the same LoRa technology. And it can run on a battery like here. I'm just using a little USB battery pack, but the final version, I'm going to put a real battery. And so you can basically send little text message to people up to maybe 5 miles around you, maybe more if you have direct line of sight. And the idea is to be able to basically keep this either by your window if you want a better reception, and and just if there's any kind of like power failure or internet failure, you can still tell your friends, hey, I'm here, I need water, I need coffee, whatever it is. You can communicate with either your friends or even complete strangers that are willing to be on that network. Um, so oh, I forgot to turn it on. Sorry about that. So there it is. So you can just type. Um, I don't know if it's taking the input. I need to plug everything right. I know, but I think the keyboard got unplugged. Yeah. Well, it's always like that when you try to show something, it doesn't work. But um, basically, you would just type text and it would get sent to either everybody that's on the, let's say, public channel, the group channel, or you could have a private communication with just one person. And it can use encryption or no encryption. That's up to people.
But tell him
And
what is right away.
yeah, Laura, I already mentioned it. And then I want to make a version that also has a GPS chip. If people are willing to spend a little bit more for the GPS, then you could go hiking and locate your friends if they get lost or if you get lost. Um, there's already a network that exists that kind of does what I'm trying to do, but they need a cell phone. I don't want to depend on a cell phone. So the network is called the Mesh-tastic. Um, Mesh-tastic. And it basically uses the same radio spectrum, but you have to use your phone in order to type or read messages. And I think that's um,
Defeats the purpose.
inconvenient
Yeah.
because you have to have two devices on you, and you have to use Bluetooth, so you're broadcasting radio waves. Maybe you don't want to broadcast anything um, on Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, so the people can't listen. Um, so here, going with the keyboard, if you use encryption, the communication should be really private. Um, so I'm working on this one, so it'll go from this to basically like a proper case with a little hinge for the keyboard. And I'm probably gonna have an option for a bigger screen because I don't think everybody can read on such a small, tiny display. Um, so it's all about cost. Like the simplest one will be cheaper, and the more advanced it is, the more parts I have to add, so the cost will go up.
Like how much cheap? How much?
Well, I think the cheapest this can be done without buying parts in the thousands. It's probably like $50, like for the end user, and um, and then if you add the GPS, the bigger screen, that probably raise the price another like $40, depending again where I can source the parts. But the other thing I want to do too, because I think it's such a useful tool, is I want to give the source code and the plans and the suppliers. So anybody who actually feels like soldering and doing it themselves or maybe improving on it can also do it. Because I mean, all the stuff I know, for example, about microcontrollers, only know it because people share their source code with everybody else. So it's only fair that I would return the favor.
Yes.
Well, that sounds like something we need now.
And yeah, and it's got a pretty good range. I mean, even 5 miles is pretty good. Um,
Well, everybody thinks the internet might go somewhere, so something like that would really be helpful, don't you think?
yeah, oh yeah, definitely. And if I can get the code done properly, I'm hoping that it can use like the neighboring ones to as repeaters. So you can basically reach somebody who's even further than your normal radio range, as long as there's enough people in between to bounce the traffic, kind of like the internet works with routers and gateways. Um, so if there's enough of those devices in use, like we might actually be able to have a network that can go like maybe a whole state. Um, but you need at least two people within the bare minimum or the maximum. The maximum would be maybe 8 miles from each other if they have like line of sight. Um, but you could also replace the antenna and put a little amplifier and put a much better antenna to cover long distance, but it won't fit in your pocket anymore.
Wow, that's awesome. I can't wait to see stuff like that come out of your lab.
Yeah, so these two, I want to get them out before Christmas at least. Um, the other stuff is going to come later because I can't do too many things at once.
And we need the space.
And we need a space, so we're still
Yes.
trying to encourage people to help us get the new lab. I know it's a very ambitious project, but you can't do great things if you aim too low. You have to really like go full out and just do it. And if we get the lab, yeah, I don't mind working 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, because it's not work. It's for me, it's like that's my life. That's fun.
Same for me. When I'm not doing electronics or math or physics, I tell Alex, I'm anxious. I feel like, oh my God, I need to, it's crazy.
Yeah, we came here to create, right?
Yeah, we have that built-in need or like ability.
We have the built-in need. Yes, somebody just sent us here with the built-in need button on of for this. It's insane.
Definitely. I love creating. I used to have an art space, but I lost it and then I had to sell the house. So someday I'm hoping Nicera comes in. I believe in that Nicera thing. You guys know about that, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Nicera, Jacera, you guys don't know about that?
No, Sarah?
Yeah, Nicera, Jacera. It's the
Oh,
national.
Nicera Gesera.
Yeah,
Of course
yeah.
I know Nicera Gesara. I said
Yeah.
it, I didn't understand because I said Nicera Gesara.
Yeah, I believe in that totally. Don't you guys?
Oh, absolutely. Nicera Gesara, I think it's something that it will not come down from the sky, that we need to build it from the ground up. So I think that, for example, the barter trade exchange is a Nicera Gesara in a small scope. I think we need to expand it to be a real Nicera Gesara. It's up to us. It's our responsibility to make it happen.
You're right. I think it would just be a spark that would create the humanity 2.0.
Yes.
Because I had a dream once that I was on like a Star Trek type of ship, and we were going to get on a smaller ship to go onto a planet. It was a really strange dream, though. It was like I lived it. It was so in color, like it happened. It was like I was in another dimension or something. But there was nobody speaking or anything like that. It was really strange, but it was like I was on a Star Trek ship. Weird.
Wow. Oh.
It was a
Sometimes
powerful dream.
some dreams are so real that it makes you wonder if this is reality. Um, this could just be another dream that is just very consistent. So every time we go back here, it's gonna continue in the same direction, but it's hard to tell the difference really between some dreams, how real they feel, and this. So who knows?
Which makes me go back to my point. The mind makes it real. Kafka said it, Socrates said it, Plato said it. The quantum physics is saying it in different way. Nicholas said it. Um, this is us. So we need to take charge of our mind. We need to take responsibility of our mind. Our mind is gonna move our body and it's gonna make the actions. We need to take control, responsibility, and be strong. Say, I'm a sovereign being, and I take responsibility of my conscious mind and even my subconscious mind, because I should be able to have control of all. That's why I have been given it to me. It has been given it to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I definitely think people should think more and take control of their surroundings and their life, and just get information. That people just can't get information. That's a big problem. I'm hoping it changes soon, though. I think we're going to have a giant shift in our consciousness very soon.
I think it's happening, and the more, for example, you do this, the more it spreads, because you put your intention, and your intention is gonna ripple in this field, and it's gonna go all over, and it magnifies. Once it's there, it magnifies. So you do one thing, and once it reaches the field, which is like almost immediately, it magnifies 1,000 times. So it gets more and more.
Yeah, definitely. I've had a lot of strange animal encounters lately. That's why I was talking about consciousness, because it seemed to involve consciousness. I've had so many strange animal encounters, I can't even talk about it. I did a short video about it, so if you guys are interested, you can always look that up. Have you ever had any strange animal encounters that made you think?
I know for sure she did.
I have had the most strange and amazing encounter with the squirrels. They're just amazing. At the school, one of them followed me around. I named her Sonia Dorotea Katarina, and she understood her name. She will intercept me on my way to class and ask for food. She will climb to the table. And when I lived in the building, we used to have several squirrels, and I will feed them, and they will plot. They will definitely plot. They will come to the window and make noise when I was not there on time. Twice I made the mistake to not be there on time. One time I was not there on time, so when I came back home and I look at the balcony, and I got horrorized and terrified and so scared, because I literally thought somebody came from the outside to the building, to my balcony, and destroyed everything with a knife. And I told Alex, oh my God, what happened here? Somebody came, they just made a mess. No, it was my beautiful squirrels that were upset at me. Why wasn't I there on time? The second time I catch them, and I was laughing so hard. Anyway, so on the balcony up there, one tried to throw herself into my head, because they are so playful. But I moved, so I see her coming down. It was hilarious. And I always will feed them with my hand, all the squirrels at the school and in my balcony. And they are little, so they see my fingers, they smell like nuts, so they think my finger is a nut. So they will bite me every now and then, and I will bleed, which proves my point that they don't have rabies. They do not have rabies. And I had full argument with the biology professor at the school because she said, rabbits, no, they beat me all the time. By confusion, you know, they don't want to beat you. They just think you're a big, your finger is the part of the net. And they don't have rabbits. It's just absolutely insanity. But they just follow me around the squirrels. Seriously, they were, you know, going all around me and going around me and going up my leg. And I have this amazing picture. I hope I have it here.
It's been a while.
What about Milo?
But yeah, I think for me the part you didn't really mention is how human-like they were. Like their behavior, everything was so reflected. Like they really know what they're doing. They try to communicate.
Oh yes.
And like when she got bitten, she actually took a picture of the squirrel, so I got to see it. And you can tell the squirrel is feeling really sorry.
I know, my
like,
poor squirrel felt so bad, and I was telling her, it's okay, it's not your fault, it's my fault. And she was feeling so bad. I felt so bad because she was feeling so bad, but
they're very expressive, so you can see their emotions and
they're amazing. Yes, the most. And we have another encounter, Milo.
Milo, yeah. But that's a bit different. It's a dog who's really smart and very good at telling us what he wants. But I kind of expect that from dogs. I think that's they're so close to humans that some of them anyway know exactly how to communicate with us.
But he visits
Yeah.
3 times a day,
Like,
every day.
it's our neighbor's dog, and it just comes straight to our door to visit.
And he wants to be here and he wants to hang out with us. So I was telling Alex that I was a little bit afraid that I missed the shift from the 3D air to the 5D air. And Alex says, no, don't worry, Milo is here. He's not a 3D being, he's a 5D being. He's here, so we're okay. I was like, oh, that's right, we're okay. So I stopped the anxiety.
That's funny. Well, I just love animals.
Oh, we do too. Yeah, I do too.
These are all pictures of my various prototypes. Let's see. The one on the top left is by far the most difficult one I've worked on because it's 3 different prototypes in one. So I took a computer case and I added plexiglass to seal the case. I just like the design from that company. They usually make open case designs to hang on the wall where you can put it flat. And so basically I tried to make it so that it would be as airtight as possible. And then I designed a cooling system which allows the air inside to be cool without exchanging air with the outside. So no dust ever goes inside. And I started using clear plexiglass was a good way of showing that it stays clean. And then I designed software to manage the cooling system. I use Peltier for the cooling. So typically Peltiers are really bad for like computer cooling because they tend to break if you keep turning them on and off. So I devised a way to basically turn them on and off so quickly that the transistors don't get damaged. So you can very precisely regulate the temperature without having the Peltier break. And then the other part of it is I used like I designed my own driver for serial ports, so the computer can have maybe well maybe up to like 60 serial ports, and serial ports are used a lot for microcontrollers. And so just for fun I put a couple microcontrollers and displays um, on some of the serial ports. And so now you can basically have a very, very large number of sensors monitored by that computer. And theoretically, I don't have that many sensors, but you could have as many as 8,000 sensors being monitored, logged, and reacted to from that one computer. So that was part of my goal is to make it able to handle the values of 8,000 sensors. It's not very useful for the general public, but it would be very useful in a factory, or if you're monitoring maybe, I don't know, like a farm, and you want to know like every plant, how they're doing, or the temperature, the moisture, whatever it is that you want to sense,
Hmm.
you could handle it all from that one box.
Well, you could
Um,
monitor a fish farm with that, couldn't you?
yeah, oh yeah, pretty much anything. The software would have to be written, like it would just be a script, because the sensors, all the hardware is already handled, but you can basically program from just the terminal. You can program the computer to do whatever you want with whatever sensor value you're reading. Or you could go the other way around and actually control up to 8,000 devices if you wanted to. But in most cases, I think it would be hard enough to handle like maybe 200 different devices, because for most people to try to write a program that handles more is probably a little bit too much of a challenge. It's a lot of work, but it can do it. Like the hardware can do it. And the second one was just a little, like it was an idea. I made a little 3D model, then I 3D printed it to make sure it works. It's just a little window to cover the camera on the phone. Um, and I thought that would be handy. That way you know that the camera is not um, looking at you. But I tried putting tape on my phone, and then when I removed the tape, there's glue everywhere. So the tape only works so well. It's okay, but I wanted to make something specifically for that purpose. So that's what this is.
Maybe
Um,
Is
it
there anything
is
else here?
yeah, this one is really, I'm kind of happy with this one. That's a great little um, tool for people who like to prototype things. It's basically, I see it as a massive prototyping board, because you can build like 10 different prototypes and have them all at the same time on the board. Um, because it allows you to use multiple voltages, and there's the last column, the one with the board on the top right, lets you actually manually adjust the voltage if you need some unusual voltage. So each row of pins has a power rail, and one is 5, one is 3, the next one is 5, the next one is 3, and so on. And you can route 12 volts or 9 volts if you need to use those voltages. But this is something I'm hoping to make into a commercial product that's like made really neatly on purpose. And I kind of have a version of it that's like the complete product.
Oh, yes.
The good thing about having a small place is everything is a step away.
Yeah.
So so this is like the same one, but I put it inside of a glass, um, like a glass frame, and this is so that way you can make like something that you can present. Uh, I can't turn it on right now because I haven't been using it, so there's no power input. But it kind of shows how you can like connect things inside. And I improved this one a little bit. I added a little like temporary fuses, so if you make a big mistake, these will turn the power off on the rail, so you won't fry the power supply or anything that's upstream from it. But yeah, the idea is to have it both in a way that you can hang it from the wall and make some kind of art or useful device. And when you work on it, you can just open it and just basically flip the glass around. I can hold it. But here, no, no, no. You can turn the glass around, and
Oh, I see. You put a phone.
yeah, very cool.
Velcro.
And now it's basically like held together. So that's something I hope I can produce at a commercial level. But of course, anybody who likes it can make their own. It's like there's no trade secret. It's just something very handy for people who like to make prototypes and experiment with electronics.
Wow,
So
that looks like a handy item to have.
it is. It's very. It's convenient for like
Yeah.
especially like if you want to keep your current prototype ready to go, but you want to make more prototypes and you want everything in one place. I actually used it once to do a demonstration for investors because I wanted to show them that I'm the real deal. I'm not just like claiming to do things. So I brought this with a little battery pack like this one,
Hmm.
and I just powered it off of the USB, and I had all my devices connected with screens, buttons, and all that. So that was pretty handy. So that's something for the near future.
Are we all going over his time?
Yeah, how are we doing with time? We don't wanna.
Oh, we got as much time as you guys want. Is there any more of these you want to click on?
Sure, let's go back to the list so I can see if there's something really
The robot.
okay. The
The
the robot.
gallery or what?
Yeah, the picture of the let's see, second row, second from the left.
This one?
Yeah, that's a little robot. I
You have it?
I did, yeah. To
Oh, that's
this,
cool.
it's like part of my course for electronics. So I figured one way to teach people electronics is to have them do something that's kind of rewarding very quickly. So in one class, you learn how to make a robot, and um, so that's part of that course. And um, basically, all it does is it hides. I call it the shy robot because it hides if the light is on or somebody is in front of it, it won't come out. But if you turn the light off and nobody's in front, then it will open the lid and you'll turn on the lights. They're like eyes, and it will kind of look around. So a very simple robot, but it's actually kind of uh, fun to play with. And so that was my way of kind of making people like feel that robotics is not out of reach. Anybody can do robotics. You just need to be taught in the most direct way how it works and not complicate things unnecessarily with too many concepts. So that's part of my um, course on electronics.
That's really cool. It's got a kind of a steampunk look to it.
Yeah, yeah. I reused the box I had from a watch and just cardboard, some circuit boards jammed inside of the box, and it works.
That is cool. Um, Anything else here?
Let's see if we go down. Not really. It's just these the bottom the devices on the bottom are part of a much bigger project, but because I didn't want to divulge the all the details of it, I just put pictures of the devices. But it's all about storing data securely in such a way that nobody can steal the data. So
Oh,
they
it
could
sounds like
be,
a crypto wallet.
yeah, almost you could use it as such, I suppose. Um, and the idea was to make it so that uh, you don't have to worry about somebody stealing your data ever. Like it wouldn't matter if it's now 10 years, 20 years from now, even when quantum computing is at its peak, the data should be just not like retrievable. It should be safe. So these are like four different incarnations of the device that sits between you and your computer and the internet. Um, but you can do many more things with these because these are Raspberry Pi, and I'm always amazed at all the things you can do with the Raspberry Pi because it has a Ethernet port and it also has a wireless transmitter. So you can use the Wi-Fi as an access point, connect your laptop to the Raspberry Pi, and then go from connect the Raspberry Pi to your router. So now everything that you do online has to go through the Raspberry Pi. So you have full control. You can run a firewall. You can inspect all the traffic. You can catch Android or Windows trying to spy on you because they can't hide from the gateway that's sitting between you and the router. so you can literally monitor everything, even if the device you're using is trying to hide stuff, which Windows tend to do a lot. Um, so I love those Raspberry Pi. I think they're great little devices, and you can do a lot of stuff with them.
I would like to add that Alex is the security expert. He's been doing security for a long time, and a lot of companies want his security products. And he's the best. He does his own encryption, so nobody knows what he's doing. He just brings it out from his mind. He downloaded, even though he doesn't want to to admit, he downloads all these weird, series of notations. I guess you can say that for the encryption, series of patterns, and he does his own encryption. He even has his name engraved on the motherboard of the computer Amiga. They engraved his name on it.
You're kidding.
No.
Wow, that's awesome.
That was because I was helping them with the development, but yeah, that was cool.
Now he's red. You're red.
My,
Yeah,
but,
that sounds like another thing I want.
I'm fascinated with security because I honestly I've done a lot of like security assessment, and honestly most people in the field of security they're fakes. The vast majority of the security on the internet and even at physical level is completely flawed. But there's all these self-proclaimed black hat, white hat hackers, security consultants who actually don't understand security. They don't understand the weaknesses in systems. So they charge people a lot of money to secure network, to secure servers or buildings, and it's full of holes because they don't understand the nature of security. To me, it's very simple. If there's no door, you cannot get in. That's what it boils down to. The moment you put a door, you're inviting people to try to break that door and come in. So that's like the most basic principle of security. There must be no entry point. But most people, they try to give you all the features of the world, and the more features you add, the less security you have. So it's basically a trade-off. Like, for example, just to keep it short, um, the vast majority of websites, the login works with username and password. And some have like two-factor authentication through maybe a text message with a number. But for me, the most obvious thing is every login should always have two passwords, because basically you don't want to store the authentication, everything on one machine. It should never be done like that. That's a very weak approach, because if somebody takes control of that machine, now they have access to the user's data and everything, because there's only that one kind of gate between the user and his data. So my approach is to use two passwords, one which doesn't get stored on that initial web server or whatever machine it is, but just gets passed through to a different machine which handles the data. So the machine with the data does not know the login of the user on the web server, and the web server does not know the login, the second password of the user on the data machine. Very simple thing, you just have to type two passwords, but it makes the security a lot better. I'm not saying it's necessarily bulletproof because there's other considerations, but by just adding a second password, you can create a whole new layer of complexity that makes hacking very difficult.
That sounds like a genius thing to me.
He is the book of security. It's Swiss precision. It's that mentality of precision. Yeah.
Quality.
Quality.
I just had my email hacked, so I had to recover from that. It's not a big deal, but I should have thought about it before,
Yeah, it's like backups. Everybody make backups. It's like everybody I know knows they have to make backups, but kind of get lazy and don't make backups until they lose something, and then it's just horrible.
Yeah, people need to think ahead, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this has been a really interesting talk. I mean, you're just blowing me away with all this stuff. Is there any anything you'd like to add before we take off tonight?
Um,
Uh,
Aleksandra, you must have something.
yes, just so that it's time to vibrate love. Whatever happens in the environment, watch it like a movie. It's just a movie. You don't feel attached. Even if something horrible happens, it's just a movie. You have to be very strong, very strong. You have to put your head very, you have to control your head, to control your emotions, you control your actions. And that's how you are going to have to navigate until that type of behavior will twist this to the end.
Yep, I call it you have to become a dispassionate observer where you can see stuff and not let it bother you, right?
mhm.
Yes.
It's not easy to do.
But with practice, you can do, for example, back home, horrible things were happening. I was terrified for my family. And then I had to force myself to say, I'm just going to watch it like a movie. I adore my family. I have the best family of the whole world. It's like, oh my God, they are just the most amazing people that I have, like, God just give me. And I love them to death. And I was really worried for them because the government took some serious martial law and did horrible things. And I was at a point of nervous breakdown, but I decided I'm just gonna have to watch it like a movie, and it's gonna pass. If I do this, it's gonna pass, and it passed. My family's fine. Thank God, nobody got hurt. They are fine. They are really well. They are doing fine. My brother had a chance to come here for 5 days only to visit. As soon as they opened the border, he came on March. He said, I'm coming here to tell you that we're fine. He jumped in the plane and went back before they closed the borders again. But, yeah, it's craziness. And I said, you know what? The more I feel, the more I look at it as a movie, the more I feel it's a movie. They're fine. They're fine. So yeah, practice that and just give them love. Give love to everything, all the beings of every single dimension, even to the bad ones. Just send them love, and that's how we're gonna finish this.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think, Alex?
Well, for me, it's so complex that I look at this situation as like a giant equation, and it's so complex that I can't quite wrap my head around it and say I can clearly see what's going on, what's going to happen, who's behind it. There's too many variables, too many things attached to it. So, but I tend to always look at things in like a good light, like it's like things will always be fine, everything will work out. I'm not worried because I know that somehow life continues and with or without us, nature will continue. There's been many disasters and humans are still here. So for lack of being able to feel like I'm in control and I know what's going on, at least I'm like, well, everything will be fine. Uh, that's kind of how I feel about this stuff.
Yeah, I
Uh,
look at it like that too. We just got to stay positive and get that dispassionate observer status so nothing bothers you.
mhm.
It's the only way you
Yeah,
can keep your head.
Yeah, and I think just even like helping other people um, feel like they're not alone. That's in times like these, I think that's really helpful because people have been isolated and separated by ideas or beliefs, whatever it is. So to make other, like at least the neighbors, to make everybody feel included and safe, I think it helps. And of course, you're doing it at a larger scale through like the internet. That's the same thing. I think it basically gives people a voice. Like we can tell everybody what we do, what we think, and so that's the best we can do, short of marching on Washington or um, taking over in a less than peaceful way.
That's a waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's just more of the same, and it, it's not the right way to go about it.
I learned something that I try to practice, and it's been proven true, at least for me. What you resist persist.
Mhm.
So, and I tell that sometimes I do the resistance part. I say, what you resist persist. So you don't want this, don't resist it. Just let it go through your body. Your neuropeptides is gonna metabolize it, and you're gonna flush it out through sweat or whatever, right? Go
Mhm.
for a good run, and it goes away.
Yep. Well, it's really been a great talk. I thank you guys for your time. You want to go on other podcasts too, right?
Sure. Maybe the next time we'll have things like more developed, so I can um, maybe show the progress.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great. Okay, this has been Andrew Zebron III with Alex and Aleksandra of Venice Inventors. Thanks for being
Thank,
with us, guys. Good night.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew.
Good night.
Good
Good night.
night.